Hello there, warm welcome to African Perspective here on Channel 404. I'm Tsepiso Makwetla. In this Wednesday's edition, the United Kingdom will host the biggest investment conference with African countries next year in January. As the UK battles with Brexit, the country is looking for alternative markets. Now, China and the USA are currently the largest investors on the African continent. This announcement was made by the Duke of Sussex during his final leg of his visit to Southern Africa. Prince Harry and the Duchess of Sussex, Meghan Merkle, say the visit has been an eye-opener and gave them an opportunity to connect with people who share common interests with the couple. But the last day was nearly shrouded by the statement that they released yesterday, where they announced that they are taking legal action against tabloid newspapers back home.
Goodbye, England's rose. May you ever grow in our hearts. You are the great.
The images that were beamed worldwide, and it is these steps that will forever haunt the Duke of Sussex. Yesterday, Prince Harry reminded the world of the trauma he experienced after the death of his mother. He is now taking legal action against certain media in Britain for what he says is a continuous harassment by the press on his wife and by extension infringing on their privacy as a family. But today, as they wrap up their visit, the couple looked unfazed, firmly focused on doing what they like most, interacting with ordinary people, particularly the youth.
I'm incredibly proud to share that the UK is going to provide £8 million for a Skills for Prosperity programme working with the South African government and other partners. Yes! I've often talked about Africa as my second home, and I've often been asked why I love it so much. Well, over the last 9 days, I've been trying to put my feelings and experiences into words, which is not easy. I wanted to try and answer a more specific question for myself. What is the essence of Africa? Why is it that so many visitors feel Africa gets under our skin and into our soul? Last night I returned from my third visit to the fourth poorest country in the world, Malawi. Despite extreme hardship and ongoing challenges on so many levels, people are generous. They are strong, humble, and incredibly optimistic. I know that there are daily struggles that most of us couldn't begin to imagine. Yet I've seen strength, resilience, and a sense of hope and empathy that I can only aspire to replicate. Ever since I came to this country as a young boy, trying to cope with something I could never possibly describe, Africa has held me in an embrace that I will never forget, and I feel incredibly fortunate for that. And every time I come here, I know that I'm not alone. I always feel wherever I am on this continent that the community around me provides a life that is enriching and is rooted in the simplest things: connections with others, and the natural environment.
You are creating the product that is needed within the community. You'll be able to become the provider for everything about the economy and what you need, as opposed to getting it externally. You are feeding yourselves through that work, and on top of which, being able to enable these women to have the power to then own the company is amazing.
The youth who are participating in this project share their views.
They were very calm, they're very nice people, they're very welcoming, and they were asking us general questions that we could answer.
Now, a lot of things are about to change. Yeah. Then so maybe we can also have another warehouses, the machines, our business will also expand.
They took time to meet with business, young South Africans studying in the UK, and politicians. There was also an announcement that will see heads of state and government converging in London next year to attend an investment summit.
When Africa prospers, the world prospers. The Africa Investment Summit that, as already mentioned, we will be hosting in London next year, will be a fantastic opportunity to showcase the potential here to the world.
In a world that can seem so aggressive, confrontational, and dangerous, you should know that you have the power to change it. Because whether you're here in South Africa, at home in the UK or the US, or around the world, you actually have the power within you to change things, and that begins with how you connect to others.
Sophie Mukwege, SABC News, Johannesburg.
In Lesotho, the Duke of Sussex initiative is beginning to bear fruit. One of the first charity organizations, Sintebale, held a youth summit that is supported by UNICEF. Now, this project works with the Ministry of Health to build capacity of health service providers, adolescents and youth to monitor delivery of adolescent-friendly health services.
Tababusiu. This is one of the flagship projects Sintebale, named after the Queen Mother Mamhato Children's Center. Inside the facility, it's all hands on deck as young people are at full steam deliberating on real issues.
Adolescents and young people are actively involved.
Prince Harry came to Lesotho as a young man, his vision to empower young shepherd boys resulting in forming Sintebale, partnering with Prince Seiso. The spark then spread deeper into Africa.
I'm glad to see that passion is not dimmed. In fact, it seems to be growing even further, with now having got himself a very lovely lady as a partner for him to increase his footprint on the African continent.
With the colonial history scars still visible, how can Africa and the West reshape the future?
We as Africans, first of all, we need to take stock of our history and what we are and what we need going forward, because we cannot move forward without recognizing the evils, the terrible things that have happened in the past, not only from the European perspective in terms of slavery and colonization, etc., but within ourselves as a society. There's been a lot since independence. There's been a lot of atrocities that African leaders have meted out onto the nations and communities. So unless we can reconcile ourselves, we cannot reconcile with the opposition. But we need to make sure that within our own house, we clear the household, that when we go and address and put our thoughts and demands forward to our partners in the first or European world, we know exactly who and what we are.
Seiso says Harry's visit should be considered as a personal act of goodwill and genuine love for Africa.
It is symbolic that he's actually stepping out of the comfort zone of Buckingham Palace or the Kensington Palaces or whatever. He wants to get involved, and in some effort, in some way, he's showing that he wants to make a difference. He wants to, without being overly political about or making a political statement, he's doing what comes from his heart and making amends for some of the travesties that maybe his forebears and governments of the past have done to the African continent.
To the young generation, this is an opportunity to turn a new leaf and write their own history.
We are empowering youth because we want them to know themselves and to believe that they can do something themselves. Yes, not expecting any donation from anyone.
Do you think that is happening? Do they really understand?
Some of them are really understanding, but some are still not understanding. And some are, nowadays, they see benefits from that, what we are doing. Because, making an example, you may find that some of the head boys of shepherds, they will say, okay, Van, this is good because we were not able to go to the health facilities. So if we have that part which will be saying the services should be outside the health facilities, they gather this will help us if the Ministry of Health can still do it as it says so.
As an educator, I'm trained. I know how sensitive youths are, so I can go to their level, whether they are up. I don't go up with them, I bring them down.
That they say so, as a patron of Sintebale, was able to attend the session, in that he made a commitment in that for other places or other platforms where he is able to speak, he can be able to share the frustrations or the messages of young people, especially young people, Yambas.
As the British Royal conclude the Southern African tour, new avenues have been created to explore partnerships as equals and mutual friendship in the new sphere. Rapelang Khatebe, SABC News, Maseru, Tabausiu.
The Ugandan army has designated the red beret as an official military clothing. People found wearing or selling the items could be prosecuted under military law. The decision has been criticized by a popular political movement in the country. The red beret is their symbol for the people power movement. Our correspondent there, Leon Seyange, reports from Kampala.
This was Uganda's first ever gazette of all military clothing. The army says it's a commitment to define an identity and the outlook of a professional army.
By standardizing, it will also be a deterrent against those who may want to use or misuse all these items that are now defense towards, that are properties of the state.
Different forces' flags have also been gazetted. The list of items ranges from backpacks to gumboots. Different colored berets are also reserved for the armed forces. It is now prohibited to sell or wear any decoration resembling that of the army. Last month, the movement led by youthful Member of Parliament Robert Chagulanyi, also known as Bobby Wine, launched the red beret as their brand identity. The red beret is worn by Uganda's military police.
When you look at that gazette, it is overstretching its mandate. A gazette derives its authority from an act of parliament. The act of parliament is very specific. It is talking about symbols, okay? Insignia, marks, okay? It does not in any way talk about shape. It does not in any way talk about color.
Anyone found in possession of the items is liable and can be convicted to imprisonment for a term not exceeding 5 years. Rights activists say they will be seeking a turnaround on the decision.
We shall take legal action in due course, either to apply for a review of the decision of the High Command to gazette something that is outside their own act, and also the constitutionality of this behavior that is specifically targeting one political group in this country.
It is not the first time the government has restricted the public on attire. Last year, police warned football fans against wearing political party colors to an Africa Cup of Nations qualifying match. Leon Sanyange, SABC News, Kampala, Uganda.